suggested I do.
Thanks.
It's gonna be 30 pages.
Huh?
So, yeah, we'll have a lot to look at and think about. I would love to get your help in making a presentation of my PowerPoint on the 26th.
Okay, we are live, everybody on YouTube.
Parks meeting on the 26th, I'll be there.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I would love to get your help in making a presentation of my PowerPoint on the 26th.
the other one.
Okay, I think I'll be able to see the waiting room from the, not, I will be back. In person.
Loving the color coordination. Very good.
You're getting color, that's all.
I didn't get the memo. Let's see, it's fine. I've been struggling with city bike all through the snowfall. And on the way over to Josh's yesterday, I was like, wait, why am I doing this? I have my own. I was like, why am I doing this? I have my own bike.
Oh.
So I busted the folding bike out today. Got here, unfolded it, and the clasp broke.
At the bus stop.
Yeah.
Just my luck.
Oh,
So.
wow.
I don't know.
Well, your reward for coming though is take one of those, they're delicious.
Not when I'm on a diet.
I know, each
What are
one,
they?
they're technically, they're called recolte. They're curaviers, it's like cookies.
All right.
So we're live.
But they.
Yes, we're live on YouTube. We're
I'll have
live.
one just for you. You bring them?
Okay.
Everyone joining us, we're all rolling in this, post snowstorm day.
These are just two people. They're 17 minutes through the waiting room for this.
Thank you.
One of the things we like to mention here, is you might mention about, just the Whitaker, it's the lady who's in fact, even want to talk, particularly.
But she was the one that died on my old block.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it's right there. And, you know, we know about,
Right, yeah.
way down on working out.
Forwarded.
And I think that's.
I don't know.
Right.
I'm checking.
Is Valenzuela, Mario Valenzuela, he was a 12-year-old boy that was on a bike. And so Daisy CB2, Bill, this one's 48th Street. That's, I mean, you know, happening all around. Yeah, we start at 6 in YouTube and everything is on, so
Just our correspondence.
presumably.
Oh, I see Kevin's there. Okay, I was wondering where he was.
Huh?
I'm checking with Bobby.
Oh, Bobby Shipman.
Well, she said he was a neighbor.
No, he's definitely, I talked to him.
Oh.
I've been, Bobby's and Casey's were coming. Too late notice.
Riley,
That's why,
is
that's,
somebody from transportation coming, DOT? or-
Oh, have we heard from them?
We have not, usually he comes. he can say
Usually
yes or
there's
no.
somebody here, yeah.
Second time I was trying to meet this person.
I know,
Okay, whatever.
yeah. Well, I hope he's coming, because, last time he didn't show up, he emailed.
He
Yeah.
wouldn't come to the Thursday meeting, right?
No,
Typically not, no,
Yeah.
unless they're presenting.
I'll
something.
come.
Yeah,
I want to be involved.
yeah, I hope he's coming. It's only 5 minutes.
he usually gets here about 6:15, 6:20.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Hello.
Kevin,
We're just gonna wait a minute to see if Joe from DOT shows up, and then, we can start public comment.
Knowing the makeup of the room, I feel like I should be saying, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask Joe's position in the DOT? He's the wizard of DOT. I mean,
He is borough.
Like,
community
He's a borough planner.
okay, he's a wizard.
Liaison.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
the wizard of DOT.
He is our liaison.
Okay,
He's our window to the rest of the department.
okay.
About that storm.
So you're getting, are they going on a bus tomorrow or are they going in the train?
I'm doing a bunch.
It's a bus.
Okay. So the only one we've heard from was Randy, right?
Jody
Right.
excused. He's an assembly member from Long Island. She's actually my son Jerry's assembly member. She is not a natural ally, but she's on transportation and she was at the hearing testifying it, and she presented a lot of compelling concerns that people out there have.
So,
Jody Giglio.
Okay.
Is, you know, kind of a 40-ish blonde. Long Island,
That's not his tip.
We'll have to whatever. And she presented a lot of real concerns because they have a lot of underage people and parents who buy their child a. Here I come.
wow.
Yeah, I think he was waiting for DOT. I don't know if DOT's coming.
You know, about these kids, like, I mean, my grandsons, they're friends, you know, they do bikes that go 30 miles an hour, they don't do bikes.
Motorcycle.
Yeah, they're really motorcycles, but we want them not to exclude the class 1 and class 2 bikes, because those have they're speed capped and limited, and they're not.
What's the age that they can ride those?
It's 15 or 16. I think it's 15.
Are these pedal bikes that you're talking about? Do they have pedals?
Well, the one, if it's not a pedal, it's not a bike, period.
But
And
some of them that are going very fast have pedals.
yes,
Are
I
you
know.
talking
they're
about
class
those?
3s. And.
They're not legal in New York,
They are legal in New York City and we need to make them illegal.
but they go over 20 miles per hour. That's the federal limit.
No,
You know
there's,
that?
there's a class in the federal law up to 28, class 3s.
As a bicycle?
No, but they're not outlawed, it's just need a license and registration.
Right.
When York, brought in and legalized e-bikes on the streets, they didn't make this differentiation, they should have. And the class 3 bikes, the thinking is the best way is just to the pinch point is to make it illegal to sell them. And they'll fade away pretty
But we broke our.
quickly. Now, there are others that are. So the law already exists for that.
I must say that back in the 27 era, 2007, I was leading the charge on the battle for electric bikes
Yeah,
as one of the founders of
Yeah.
the pedicab business, and I developed electric pedicabs, but I specifically built them right here in Long Island City
yeah,
to be at the limit of the law, of the
Right.
federal law.
Yeah.
107-319 allows you to have up to 1 horsepower, but it cannot go over 20 miles per hour.
right, yeah,
And they set that federal standard so that it could still be considered a bicycle.
correct.
But what you folks are talking about is history that's taken place since that era that I was speaking
Yeah.
of, with the development of these vehicles that are excessive,
And the lithium ion batteries, I think, are
dangerous.
well, but
Explosive.
they in and of themselves, but they also are, you know, enabled or made possible this type of city bike.
Thank you.
So,
The city council at that time would not allow them for pedicabs, and the pedicabs needed them more than anybody because of the extra weight they were carrying.
You're from Ryan.
You go look around Central Park now, all the pedicabs have electric motors.
right, yeah.
They're little small ones down in the pedals.
Sometimes more, they're in the pedals.
They're in the pedal. Just look below the pedals for next time you look. And what's, yes, and it helps it, it's a helper motor,
Yeah. Oh, wow.
in what's called the bottom bracket. That's the bottom bracket of a bicycle.
Yeah.
Where the pedals rotate.
Oh, you mean in the hub of where the axle, not in the pedals, but in the,
It's called the bottom bracket
well, I get.
that supports the
Yeah,
crank,
Right.
and you'll see a cluster, which is a motor.
The batteries under the pedals.
So is it looking like Joe's not gonna make it?
My 1 horsepower motors were industrial,
Message.
they're underneath the seat.
Yeah.
Committee members too, but
Oh,
And
I don't know if anybody's coming.
it was a
We
big
might
help.
just do the presentation.
do we know the quorum?
I don't know if we.
No, Randy's excused, he wasn't feeling good. And Maury usually comes on a little later.
Okay.
And Osmond, I don't see him here, so,
But he also sometimes comes in with it.
yeah.
Well, we have 1, 2,
Well,
3,
you
4.
consider Patricia, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, so you know, technically there's 8 people, but I think. Omai is not really on the committee anymore, so we could say 7,
Oh,
so
really?
you have a quorum.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She hasn't decided what
Um,
exactly yet, so. She wanted to go on a different committee or move over, I don't know.
Doug, do you wanna
We said
wait
she
to
could
see if
stay
DOT
when she
comes, or
wanted
would you like
to,
to do your
so
public
I
comment?
left her name just to.
Doesn't seem like it's gonna be a real long, busy meeting, but I shouldn't, I'm not
But we're
familiar.
with you too.
We
so
do have a
people can
presentation.
watch Gamma later.
I could say a few words if you
And,
want, so that we're all aware of
Yeah.
why I'm here.
For sure.
Okay,
Let's see. who's-
Introduce yourself as well.
okay, I'm Doug Corman, and,
And just to remind, typically 1 minute for public comment. I know you have a lot to say.
I'll keep it to a minute, because everything's in the preliminary stage, and I'll be glad when you finally afford me a good amount of time to do a proper presentation with my PowerPoint being projected on the screen, so everybody can see and ooh and ah.
Mhm.
Okay, so what it comes down to is this little sliver of land, that's
Hold on.
down underneath the Long Island Expressway on Borden Avenue. Near the Borden Avenue Bridge, it's an acre of land, and then next to it is the dead end street that was made into a makeshift skate park for skateboarding. That brings it up to a whole. Did I wait?
Yeah, you can start over. Give it a second.
Hey, good.
Okay, we're on hold.
Well, we're on the phone with Joe, so we're gonna.
Oh,
find out if they
okay.
make it or not.
Yeah, no, we just, we like to hear from you.
Come on down, Joe.
No, if anything, he'll probably come on one.
Oh, that'd be great. That's fine.
Okay, all right, great. So we'll look for you on, you'll probably even want to be in the waiting room.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that. DOT called, he's gonna join us later on Zoom.
Okay,
If
so
he can. My apologies.
that's fine. To resume what I was saying, I'm basically here to represent what city planners call dead space. Okay, and this dead space exists at a dead end, which was made into a makeshift skate park, and they call it online when they communicate, the dead end. And so, I have been, my own self-appointed curator of the space for almost 9 years now, cleaning it up, piece of neglected land, and I want to make sure the outcome of the land is proper. That's why I want to talk to DOT, because I don't know what their plans are for the rehabilitation of the highway. I've been in contact with them, and I know it's the state DOT, but the city DOT has to be privy. And they don't want to tell you that. You'd have to go through freedom of information. All they want you to do is look online, and you see the larger project, which began down, I guess it was near the northern side of what's called the Queens Midtown Expressway. Okay, by the Van Wyck area. But it's slowly coming this way. And there is patchwork going to be done to stop the water from coming down below that's destroying the skeletal structure of a highway. It's very rusted in certain areas and its pieces are falling. So I want to make sure they don't destroy the trees that are there, blacktop it, say, oh, we're bringing our trucks in, we're taking over, when the community wants to see a park. So I'm looking to the community board to voice the opinion of the community to have a park there. And I've had almost 9 years to study every inch of the space that I've worked on, to be able to have a good idea of what would be best for the space to serve the needs of the community. So I have a robust plan that's now 30 pages. And it has so much stuff that's so interesting in it that I can't see what's not to like. It's definitely a sports center. And it's definitely right down to having a farmer's market on weekends. Everything you would want in a skating center that I don't think is anywhere in the world. Okay, packed in this acre and a half, okay, a skating rink. A skating rink for roller skating under the highway. Converts into an ice skating rink like you see in Bryant Park, where a special acrylic floor goes down in the colder months so that you can have ice skating. And both times of the year, you can have roller hockey or ice hockey on certain days. And then I'm talking about building a separate facility over the creek that would enable a big skateboard park, which is what they need for what they do. They will love it. And then the floor below it, I want to see roller derby. The city has a dozen roller derby teams that are dying for places to work out. So these are two Olympic sports, skateboarding and roller derby. They deserve to have a space here in the city. This would be a magnet for the whole region for people to come to. And my main focus is to see how best it serves this immediate community. And there's so many perks, including a playground for kids with a tree house on a 100-year-old tree that we have. So I've talked enough, but the presentation will speak for itself, and I think you'll like it.
Thank you very much. As we said at the last meeting, you have like-minded people here who want to see open space there, and I appreciate the ideas. These are newer ideas, and I appreciate you bringing them to us. I look forward to a presentation, and the more community backing that you get, the better. Petitions and,
We have years to raise the money, because everybody's gonna go, where are you gonna get that kind of money? It's millions and millions of dollars, but
Yeah.
we can get it from the feds, we can get it from the state, the city's broke, so I'm not counting on the city. But there's all kinds of stuff to do on the internet and reaching out to these various sports entities that would help contribute local industry and business. There's plenty of places to get the money, and individuals.
all right, excellent, thank you.
Yeah, Doug, you were here or at the full board meeting talking.
Yeah.
And I know we urged you, because we're very aware, you're talking like you're the only one that's down there, but we know there's a lot of people that have been working that you didn't build the skate park, some other people did. The
I helped
area
them.
On the waterfront and so on. And, we were encouraging you to work together with them. Where are they today?
I'll tell you, I've reached out to some of them. They're in their own worlds, whatever. I'm not making any value judgments. Everybody's busy with their lives and dealing with the weather and whatever. But the point is, everybody's gonna have what in my proposal, everybody's gonna be able to go under the tent and be super happy. I mean, Gil will be happy. He's a green thumb. He'll have a whole greenhouse and a whole thing and farmer's market. Willis will be overwhelmed with the dock spaces that I've designed, that I have in mind, and the, even paddle boats for kids to get out with their parents on. I mean, it's a serious proposal. You will be surprised. And the fact of the matter is, it creates access to the creek, which is what the main focus of Willis is. And it's way beyond what they were thinking, and that's good. And I don't care about the cost of it. I know it's a lot of money, but that money will be raised if there's a will. And I think I could help in that regard. And, I know people, and I think if we get all the political people whose district this involves, they'll work on helping raise that money too, because we need a center like this in New York. We don't even have anything like this. Not.
I think it is important to get all the
Get people
groups
together.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be flying.
Have a
solo
meeting,
somewhere.
everybody should.
Right.
It's okay. It's in the mustard seed stage. Once the cat's out of the bag, they're gonna go, okay, yeah, we wanna get on that. They will. My attitude is you build it and they'll come.
All right,
So they
excellent.
have their ideas too, they
Well,
would like
they're
incorporated, maybe.
Fine.
All right, well, thank you again for presenting to us. Thank you for the comment.
My pleasure.
And I look forward to the future proposals. I see Maury has joined us on our committee, and Joe Petty from DOT, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We just heard public comment regarding the space beneath the
Queens-
LIE.
Queens
the Newtown
Discount
Creek.
Expressway.
And the work to rehabilitate that, when it might happen, if DOT knows when that might happen, it would help out our community member Doug. Thank you very much. All right, I don't know if there's any more public comment, because I see everybody up there
Can I give public comment as not a committee member, but
Sure, yeah.
on
You have-
one aspect, because I know that from the agenda that we have a presentation that relates to the application of Sammy's law, and Sammy's law relates to traffic calming, and it's the driving force was Families for Safe Streets, which I have my Families for Safe Streets hat. But you never, and I want us to know that our neighbors have been directly impacted by the car crashes and killed. And particularly, I want to name a few names. One is Krista Whittakin, who happened to be killed right on the corner near where Corey lives, down on Woodside Ave and 56th Street.
When was that?
Right, it's where I live. But
Yeah, where you live, yeah.
When did that happen?
That happened about probably 5 years ago. I'm not quite sure because I just know I used to walk the same place and guy made a right turn and when school was being let out, the kids were in the playground. It was,
On a bicycle?
he was a medallion cab driver driving his own personal vehicle, making a right turn onto that street. And he didn't see her or whatever.
She was on foot, right?
Hmm?
She was on foot.
She was on foot. She was an old lady. She was very older than me. Who knows? But she we had Daisy Zito was killed right over walking the car coming out of the BJ's parking lot. SUV turned and killed her. And Mario Valenzuela down on Borden Avenue. I mean, these are all fairly recent. If we went over to CB1, of course, which we're not, but there are a whole spate of people, including Noel Manhattan, who is 6 years old, was killed by a driver who didn't even had a suspended license and was making a right turn. And so this is a very extremely serious matter, and these are attempts to address this in our community. So that's all.
I'm curious, what
Thank
kind
you
of
so much.
solution? do you suggest?
Doug,
It's
Can
coming.
I ask questions? I just
no,
wanna know.
unfortunately, discussion is just for committee members.
Okay,
I
I'm
appreciate you
sorry.
being here, not at all.
I'm learning the rules, sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rose. I appreciate you saying their names. We're hearing a lot of statistics about traffic deaths last year. We have 206 people, but knowing their names, saying the names of neighbors in our community is very important.
And this is counting the injured.
Maury, you have a comment?
I just thought I was gonna mention this later, but because Roz brought it up and it's relevant at the moment. I know DOT has been really busy with taking care of the snow and removal and dealing with all that. I just wanted to mention that the accident that happened a couple of years ago on 47th Avenue and 46th Street by the school, which was a tragedy where someone was killed and someone was badly injured. I know, Joe, we've talked about this before, but I guess because of the snow and there's no lift plow sign, those I forgot what the yellow strips that go in the roadway to force people to take a wide turn. They've kind of been, one has been completely destroyed and is gone, and the other one is cut in half.
Yeah, those
Strip things.
the official term for it is called a hardened center line. Like kind of like the black and yellow
Yeah.
like humps you're talking about. Yeah, those can easily be fixed with a quick service request. I know in the winter those get, taken up by the plows left and right. So we can definitely get that on the list for repairs then.
All
If
right,
that's the
I'll
case.
send a photo just by email just to the office and CC you and a chair just so that it's easy to track and you don't have to remember it.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Maury, I can tell you too, anything like that, like the plastic kind of stuff that's bolted down, if you 311 that, DOT is really good about coming and replacing it quickly.
Oh,
Like
good.
there was a person on 39th Avenue that Bike Boulevard that was like constantly cutting down the flex posts. And I had a little war with that person because I'd bike by and 311 it, and then DOT would come out like almost the same day and fix it. And then I'd come by the next day and it'd be cut down again. Like, so, but they've been good about that part. So the temporary stuff, it seems they're a little more responsive and it could be quick fixes. So the props to Joe and his team on that front.
Thank you all.
And we love the stripes on Woodside Ave since you're talking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the new treats are great.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Kevin is here for a presentation. Thank you for joining us, Kevin Lachera or Lachera?
Lachera. Probably the
Lachera.
original Italian was Lachera, but Lachera is that's the way I say it.
I honor that. Thank you. Welcome. You've presented here before, so you know how we do it. Did you have something, a PowerPoint style presentation?
Yeah, let me see. Am I able to share my, can you enable participant screen sharing? Because if you enable it, then I can.
We're working on it.
Okay. Yeah, while they're working on it, hello, everybody. Thank you. My name is Kevin.
Co-host?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, did you ask something, Kevin?
Gotcha. No, we're all good.
Yeah.
So just briefly, kind of introduction. I know, I know a number of you. I had come in the past. Y'all had made time for me to come and speak about the effort over in Greenpoint, where I live, about Greenpoint Avenue, and the safety changes that are so desperately needed on both sides of the creek. So I appreciate your time in the past on that. And I have been in discussion with a lot of amazing folks at Families for Safe Streets about Sammy's Law, and wanted to kind of brief you all on an effort that we had made over in Brooklyn CB1 and that other boards throughout the city are now discussing, in the hopes that Queen CB2 might also take it under consideration. So my name is Kevin Lachera. I live over in Greenpoint over here. So I'm not in your community board, but nobody's perfect. And I just appreciate you taking the time. So let me go ahead and open up this presentation for you. Give me 1 second here. All right, great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Do slideshow mode. And Roz, is Kate Rockwell there or she's
No,
not?
No.
Okay, no problem.
That's why I spoke.
But it's
Okay.
worth acknowledging there's two Families for Safe Streets members that live in our district. They live in
Yes.
But so,
Or more than two.
well, yeah, but they were gonna be here.
Yeah, there was, we hope that they're working, going to Albany tomorrow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's important for me to note that I am not a member of Families for Safe Streets. I'm just an advocate here in Greenpoint, who has tremendous admiration for all the work that they have done over the course of the last many, many years, over a decade, towards Sammy's Law. So that is a little bit about the organization itself. I know Roz spoke to that a little bit, earlier. It's really an incredible organization that does so much for folks that have suffered losses from traffic violence. Getting into it, in 2025, we have those numbers. I know Riley just said it. In 2025, there were 206 people in New York City that were killed in traffic crashes. That's one person killed every 42 hours. 112 of those people were pedestrians, 73 were motorists, 21 were bike riders. I know this is something that your community board, my community board throughout the city are always, we are front and center when it comes to this crisis, because it's on every corner, it's on every street, on every road, however you get around. We all see the crisis up close and personal, and it is community boards that are asked to respond, right, and come up with solutions alongside the Department of Transportation. It's really challenging work. So a lot of appreciation for you all, of course, also for doing that. And oftentimes we're confronted with what do we do in the face of this crisis? Right now, let's see if that's not gonna. Give me one moment. There we go. Sorry, it was not opening up. Let me see if that works now. Oh, that's very odd. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
It's like it's not appearing. It appears when I. Oh, I'm sorry. It's this way. I apologize. Let me just click through this here. So in Queens Community Board 2 last year, throughout the entire year, there was a total of 1,716 total crashes with 1,026 injuries. 108 cyclists, 126 pedestrians, 754 motorists, 38 unknown, right? This is happening so often that most, there's a portion of these things that we never even figure out what happened. And one death, a pedestrian unknown, his name was never revealed, but a 48-year-old male who was hit and killed at Borden Avenue and Maurice Avenue in October of last year. This is what this looks like in real time. It is a crisis on every corner, on every block, from one end of the board to the other. And of course, and sadly, CB2 is not the only district where this is an issue, right? It is in every district across the entirety of the city. And that's where the conversations about Semi's law have come in, right? Which I'll get to in a second, but we know that speed kills, right? We know that the faster a vehicle is going, basic physics back to high school, right? The longer the stopping distance, the braking distance is for that vehicle. And if you are in the way of that vehicle, you are more likely to be hit, injured, or God forbid, killed, the longer that braking distance is, right? The shorter it is, the shorter the stopping distance, the more likely you are to survive. And we see that when we think about, these, the speed limit signs that are up all over the place, 40, 30, 20 miles an hour. What that actually looks like when it comes to crashes is, God forbid any person is hit, but if you're hit at 30 miles an hour, you are 20%, you're 80% likely. I apologize, sorry. If you're hit at 20 miles an hour, it is an 8% likelihood that you'll be killed in that crash. Which is, not perfect, but it is far better than some of the other alternatives. Driver's field of vision, we have that down there. Of course, again, the faster you are driving, the narrower your field of vision, right? This kind of just presented on a graph. Again, with those common speed limits that we see locally. In response to this, advocates with Families for Safe Streets and so many other allied organizations have fought for years and years to pass Sami's Law, which was passed in June of 2024. What that law basically does is it allows New York City to lower its speed limits from 25 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour. It does not require it. It does not make it citywide. It just says we're going to give New York City that home rule power to set speeds on our residential streets. And so that was a tremendous effort. And as folks, of course, in this room that were so deeply involved in that effort, and I'm so grateful to them in that regard for accomplishing that. This is something that's broadly popular. I mean, it should be no surprise. Folks don't want drivers speeding in their neighborhoods. They don't want drivers speeding through their neighborhoods. And they agree that New York City should have the authority to set our own speed limits in our own communities, right? That finally passed in June of 2024. And basically the way that it has been implemented since then, and this is kind of the disappointing part, especially after all of the work that has been done by those advocates, is in the middle of 2024, right after the bill was passed, then the then Adams administration said that they were excited to implement it. They announced 250 streets that Sami's Law would be implemented on, as well as a slow zone, one area where there'd be a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. Those 250 streets were, almost all, with the exception of one or two, only one or two individual blocks. and largely blocks in front of schools, which of course is welcome, but really doesn't meet the scale of the crisis or meet the moment as to what folks are asking for or expecting. And they did say that they were going to do a zone in Manhattan of 20 miles per hour within a particular area. That was all of Manhattan south of Canal Street, so the entirety of Manhattan Community Board 1, and a little bit of Manhattan Community Board 3. But all told, it equaled up to about 1.5% of all city streets. You contrast that, the DOT's power to do that, the mayor's power or willingness to do that, with 206 deaths in 2025, right, as they were implementing. At the end of 2024, early 2025, my community board, Brooklyn Community Board 1, passed a resolution asking to be a slow zone in our own right. At that earlier announcement from the Department of Transportation, they had said that they'd be announcing slow zones in other boroughs as well. And so we raised our hand and we said, hey, Manhattan Community Board 1 has got it. Brooklyn Community Board 1 would like it as well. We have tremendous rates of crashes and injuries and lots of advocates who desperately want to see these changes made. The mayor did not use his power to establish that slow zone for us. They did establish a few small but welcome slow zones elsewhere. That is in the community neighborhood of St. George and Staten Island in the Bronx, Dumbo in Brooklyn, and Broad Channel in Queens. But again, though welcome in those neighborhoods, not covering an awful lot of ground. So basically, this is there you go. On the campaign trail, Mayor Mamdani expressed his support for broad implementation of Sammy's Law. And what our ask is from advocates on this side of the creek and folks across the city are discussing this, that community board should be passing resolutions asking for full implementation of a district-wide slow zone. It's within the mayor's power to do. Now, again, as I said earlier, Sammy's Law applies. The state allows New York City to do it. How does New York City implement it? Sammy's Law can be implemented. I'll read it here. Sammy's Law allows New York City to lower its speed limits to 20 miles an hour with posted signage, except on roads with 3 or more motor vehicle travel lanes outside of Manhattan. So it is universally applicable in Manhattan, again, at the mayor's discretion. And it is applicable in other zones that they might set, not on all roads, as we see here. But that is the situation. My legal understanding of it is a little murky. I'm not a lawyer. My understanding basically is the mayor can't implement it citywide by fiat, but can implement these larger zones. And obviously my hope for the future is that there is city council legislation to push for this in an affirmative way, in an active way. But in the meantime, just like with so many other things, the community boards are being called on to lead. I know this was an active discussion for you all around universal daylighting. And I think that this would be a really wonderful and important action for the community boards to take. So just in Queens CB2, and I have a map in a moment, there is actually already a slow zone in Sunnyside. And perhaps anecdotally, I'll jump back. I do not have the statistical ability to crunch these numbers, but anecdotally, with the exception of Queens Boulevard, it does seem to me that Sunnyside, this area of Sunnyside here, which I'll get to the map in a second, but that Sunnyside seems to have fewer crashes, Sunnyside Gardens and the area to the south of Queens Boulevard there, than the areas around it to the east and to the west. And those areas are where the slow zone is in effect in the neighborhood. It would not be applicable on the Pulaski Bridge, on the Queensboro Bridge, on the LIE and the BQE, where the speed limit is higher. This might help you visualize it a little bit better. This is the posted speed limits district-wide. So it would be applicable, of course, Sammy's Law. It already is in place, I suppose, in the green zone, the 20 mile per hour zone, which is up that area of Sunnyside, both to the north and south of Queens Boulevard, as well as, it's applicable there now, but in all the blue lines as well. Anything that's red or that kind of orangish shade, the 35, 45, 50, those are all of the wider roads, the 3 or more lanes, where it would not be applicable. But again, when you look at this and you see where the green is here, maybe you close your eyes for 1 second. And then when I open this up, you can kind of see it. And again, I apologize. I lack the, I should have paid more attention in stats class myself, I suppose. But the area, it seems to me that the areas to the east and west are of a much higher crash rate than the area where the slow zone is put into effect. So the sample resolution, our resolution in CB1 was very simple. It was just literally asking the Department of Transportation to institute a district-wide 20-mile-per-hour slow zone on all applicable streets. I'm happy to answer any questions that folks might have about this, or jump back to anything else in the presentation that folks might want to take another look at. I'll share this with you, of course, as well. But this is an opportunity, I feel, for community boards, and it's an active conversation right now across the city amongst a lot of community boards. There's about a dozen community boards right now that are discussing it, passing a resolution, asking for the mayor to use this ability. It will save lives. It will reduce crashes and injuries. In all these conversations about daylighting and speed, we know that there's 3 things that contribute to crashes the most, and that is visibility, speed, and driver distraction, right? And so visibility and speed is something with both daylighting and Sammy's Law we can absolutely do something about, and the mayor has the power to act. So anyway, that's my presentation there. I'll hop out of here and I'll hop back onto the view here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have to the best of my ability.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for all the data and the presentation. I appreciate it. Corey.
Yeah, really terrific presentation. So I was one of the advocates that went up to Albany and helped fight for Sammy's Law. And I can say that the intent in going and getting that law passed was under the assumption that once it passed, the city would update its area speed limit, right? It's currently 25 miles an hour, bring it down to 20 miles an hour, right? We didn't have the right to do that legally. So that's what Sammy's Law was about. It was about giving the city the right to do it. And we were disappointed to learn that the city chose to implement it on a street by street basis, with the exception of these, small Sammy's Law districts, Sammy's Law areas, right? So I think the approach here is pretty innovative under that paradigm, right? Okay, let's just make our district a zone, right? Let's do it. So with that said, Kevin, would you be able to show the speed limit, what is it? The diagram that shows how likely a fatal crash is based on different speeds?
Yes. Give me one moment. Okay, let me share again. Hold on. Let me go back to it so I open up it right there. There you go. Okay.
Oh, and I'll add while he's pulling that up. So it was frustrating enough that the city didn't immediately work on updating the area speed limit to 20 miles an hour, but then it had the audacity to apply an area speed limit reduction for bicycles, right? Before they implemented it for cars, and invoked Sammy's Law in doing so. And I know that the founder of Sammy's Safe Streets, Amy Cohen, made a statement saying that she was extremely offended at that because it completely perverted the intent of that law. So I think this is in the spirit of that effort. Okay, so it shows here, right, if you're hit at 23 miles an hour, 10% of people will die, and 32 miles an hour, 25% of people die, right? In reality, we know that for example, a 25 mile an hour speed limit zone, most people are going to go close to 10 miles over that, right? That's like the general way we drive. Same way we do with our automated speed enforcement, that you don't get a ticket until you're going 11 miles over the speed limit. So you can assume functionally, most cars are going to be driving above the speed limit, just not, in excess of 10 miles over it, right? So we can say a 25 mile an hour zone is effectively closer to a 32 mile an hour, average speed zone, right? And that, I think, is the important thing to keep in mind in reducing these speed limits. Bringing it down to 20 miles an hour means most of the cars are going to be driving between 20 and 30 miles an hour. And that's where you really get the life-saving effects. So I think in this case, these 5 miles an hour really, really would make a difference. And then Kevin, if you could go to the map of the full map with the streets, like individual street speed limits, the color coded one.
Color code.
Yeah, I love this map. So I lived in the northeastern slow zone and now I live in the southern slow zone and it's been great both times. I mean, I agree with his interpretation that the map it looks like there's fewer crashes in that zone. I would love to bring that to Long Island City, to Woodside, right, to Blissville. I think everyone deserves the same calm, quiet streets that Sunnyside has, and this is like a pretty easy yes, right? That's just my own personal thoughts on the matter.
Sure, yeah, and as long as the map is up, what we're looking at is neighborhoods, residential streets. These are, this, I don't know what else it would be
Right.
in New York, but these are residential streets. This is not slowing down commerce.
Yeah, I mean, the truck routes, right, Greenpoint Avenue, Queens Boulevard, you can see they're blue, right?
Yeah,
They're not
well,
affected
Queens
by.
Boulevard is 3 lanes on each side, right?
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
would not be affected.
Yeah,
It'd be nice, but the light cycle actually slows it down a lot anyway.
yeah.
But yeah, these are residential streets. I live in an area with a 20-mile-per-hour limit. Unfortunately, drivers go up to 40 miles per hour trying to make it to lights. So it takes physically altering the streets to actually get people to slow down, but changing the speed limit is a start.
And I think I would argue, right, and Joe can correct me if I'm wrong, but the setting the speed limit lower, that allows for different infrastructure because the design speed is lower. So, you can do different treatments when you are targeting a lower speed on that street. So if the goal is traffic calming, the first step is lowering that design speed limit.
Something else that
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin, in response.
Something else that's important to note that I realize I left out of this presentation is that most cities in Europe that have achieved, less than 50 or 100 traffic deaths per year, right? That those significantly lower numbers, right? We're cracking 200, and it's awful, right? But those cities that have meaningfully brought those numbers down, one of the secrets to that is not a secret, but is a 30-kilometer-per-hour speed limit, which is for, in our parlance, it's 18 and a half miles an hour, right? It's that 20 is plenty approach. So, again, speed and visibility. And I have so much admiration for the work that CB2 is doing in talking really proactively about design of streets, right? As a key part of that, right? And looking at the ways in which that's already in place in places throughout CB2. But speed plays such a critical role and setting those expectations of drivers and also allowing for that enforcement to take place, right? Within the bounds of, again, the flexibility that the enforcement laws allow, which is that 10-mile-per-hour gap.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Am I permitted to ask Kevin a question?
Let me have,
I'm sorry.
Patricia.
No, the answer's no.
No?
Typically not.
Sorry.
Well, I might as well just go. I can't participate in this meeting.
Sorry, go ahead, Patricia.
The 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in Sunnyside and Sunnyside Gardens was really pushed by the previous council member, Jimmy Van Bremmer. Does Julie want to take over all of CP2?
Yeah.
So why isn't there a push meeting after meeting with her to extend the 20-mile-an-hour past Sunnyside and Sunnyside Gardens? I mean, it's been just that limited amount of space at 20 miles an hour for years already. So why hasn't it been
She's totally
expanded?
supportive. She's totally supportive of
I
it.
think
Why
there-
hasn't it
I
been?
think there are pushes by
Well, this is-
advocacy groups like Families for Safe Streets, Transportation Alternatives, and other groups. I think there are also pushes on an individual basis of people saying, there are people speeding on my street, can you please slow it down? And then that's when it all comes to the community board where we work in an advisory capacity to city government to say, this was presented to us, we've looked at the data, we've heard the voices of the people. Surveys have been shown that people want safer streets. So I think what you're talking about is something that is happening.
How long has it been since Van Bremmer is out? How long has Julie Wan been there? I'm not saying it's her. What I'm saying is that's such a small section of of that map that has that 20-mile-an-hour zone?
Yeah.
And why has it been that many years?
What I'll say is
Oh.
that in looking at this citywide, there's not that many areas like this. Like, you know, there is a number that there are, you know, several across the city in different areas. But there's not that many. It's not, you know, and I think that the work that Families for Safe Streets has done and the work that proactive politicians have done, right, you know, in the past stands out as an example, right? And just in
What
the
I'm
same way.
saying is, should there be more pressure put on city council?
Are you
to-
asking?
They have a tool.
Okay, so here,
Are you asking why it hasn't happened yet, or should it happen? What is the actual question? Like, you're asking why
you're asking
Julie
why
Bond
Julie
has not
Bond
changed
hasn't
it?
proposed to change it?
I said it, no. I mean, even if, and she believes in it also, but so she goes back to city council and Adams, you know, vetoes, and, you know, then there's the whole political bullshit. But where's the pressure put on year after year to get this done? Where is the public outrage year after year to show the rest of the city what is going on? And, you know, I don't see it, I don't read it.
So
And-
a couple things. To the first point, right, about like, where is Julie one on this, right? I think this is how it starts, right? To Riley's point. And you know, it has to start somewhere, right? You could go to Julie one and she could say, well, where's the community board on this? And go to the community board and they could say, where's Julie one on this, right? So this is an avenue for advocates who care about these issues to share with us. But I'll also take your second point. The outreach has been constant, all the time. Like I'm in those spaces and I'll tell you, people are, every time a cyclist is killed, there's like a vigil, and Families for Safe Streets advocates every year to Albany, to the city. They're testifying, they're doing demonstrations. You know, it's a city of 8 million, so of course it's not going to be visible to everyone in the city, but this is part of a citywide effort to address the traffic violence epidemic, right? So I mean, the question is like, do you support it or not? If you're frustrated it didn't happen sooner, you can be part of the solution. We can make it happen now, right?
It should not be that the city council council member says, what is the community board think? And the community board says, well, what is it? I mean, we could go back and forth like this.
You're the one asking what the council member's opinion, right?
No, I did not. I said, I know that she supports it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that.
So.
So great.
What is the back and forth that's been going on for years? It's ridiculous.
I don't
You can't say when somebody gets killed, then there's an outrage.
But I think you also have to recognize within New York City and within this neighborhood, things have changed in the last 10 years. There was an outcry by drivers anytime any change happened. And now, you know, people recognize that safer streets need to happen, and that means slowing down vehicles. So there's a greater acceptance for it. So now is the time the mayor might come in and, you know, change the citywide speed limit district by district. But, you know, I don't think Eric Adams was that mayor, and I don't think it existed before now. So now is the opportunity. I would say if you're looking for the outrage, go to the middle school where the 16-year-old girl was killed in the crosswalk, and you'll find the outrage in that neighborhood. You know, people say cars should slow down.
And if Adams was not the mayor and he vetoed it, why wasn't the city council overriding his veto?
There was no veto. I just want to clarify. So I just want to clarify because it's important. The work, and it's a little confusing, and I'll say it was confusing to me as well. The first time I was trying to get it all straight. That there was a state law passed. There's a lot of policies in New York City that can only be passed or done once there is approval or permission from the state to do them. It's a thing called home rule. It's very frustrating. But New York City did not have the ability to set its speed limit comprehensively to 20 miles an hour. It was only once a state law was passed. After that state law was passed, then it would be the responsibility of the city to pass a broader law. And I am very much in favor of that. And I would hope that Julie Wan would be very much in favor of that. But otherwise, the things that you see, whether it's the Sunnyside slow zone or a slow zone elsewhere, were just the work of probably tremendous effort from an individual council member working through maybe a receptive mayoral administration to set a limited area at one time in history after probably a lot of pressure and outrage, and perhaps in many cases, tragically, many deaths, right? I think the opportunity here and now, which, I'll tell you, we're trying to do this as fast as we're able to get this information and opportunity out to community board members across the board, is to say there is an opportunity, right? The new mayor took office January 1st. It's February 3rd. If I could have been at your January meeting, I probably would have. But here's the February meeting. There is an opportunity here for the mayor to say, okay, and the elected officials to say, okay, as the community board raises its hand and says, okay, to Sammy's Law being implemented at a district-wide level. It's a lot to keep straight. I appreciate it. I think this is the open door. And I think that it would be wonderful if Queen CB2, along with more folks across the city, walked through it.
I appreciate the clarification. Thank you, Kevin. Roz.
Yeah, Kevin, could you put up the slide with the proposed motion or sample motion you said?
Sure, and I say to you, you all are much better at writing motions than I am. I just wanted to give you the most basic type of boilerplate. This is what Community Board 1 did.
Quite honestly, it is helpful, and I would like to change the word sample to proposed and to propose this. But I want to get, I think it would be helpful, the phrase on all applicable streets. If we could flesh that out a little bit further, because I don't think people realize, otherwise they think, we're gonna make it 20 miles an hour on Northern Boulevard and, who knows where else, and it doesn't mean that. So could we, I don't think we're calling for complex, maybe a sentence or, further, what is it,
It's the
all resident or all applicable streets, meaning.
I said applicable only because, it is, and I just going back to this slide for a moment, that it is on all, Sammy's Law applies in the outer boroughs. Again, Manhattan is different than the rest of us. But for Queens and for Brooklyn and, and so on and so on, Sammy's Law is able to be applied on all streets except those that are 3 or more motor vehicle travel lanes. Now travel lanes doesn't count turning lanes.
So can we just phrase it as on streets with 2 or fewer lanes or something? That's all. I just think it shouldn't just say all applicable, because most people won't understand that is a meaningful restriction.
Sure. Whatever, if you wanted to add, on all streets with less than 3 or more motor vehicle, this is the language from DOT. Now,
that would be fine.
maybe this is something that the DOT rep on the call can clarify, because it's not 100% clear to me how turning lanes function here, and all the individual particulars.
Having looked at the law, was that turning lanes don't count. They don't count in this, but so that's what a travel lane is in a sense.
Right. Yeah, whatever. Listen, I think that it's the board has the authority here. I am here to say, hey, this is what we've done, and encourage folks to have as maximal adoption of it as possible. But you all are the experts and the authorities.
Thank you, Corey.
So a couple questions. I know there's also a provision for an even further reduced speed for school zones, right? It's like 15 miles an hour for school zones.
Yes.
I know the law has something about like 10 miles an hour for slow street. Like it's they have carve outs for, like open streets have a lower speed limit and schools have a lower speed limit. And I think if we were to pass such a motion, we would support the letter of Sammy's Law. So my only word of caution would be that we don't like over prescribe and miss the mark and accidentally, shoot for like a narrower scope than Sammy's Law applies. So I'm open to, just copy pasting the language from Sammy's Law. I'm also just okay with saying applicable streets. I'll defer to you as the chair. One other thought that I had is, for the record, I support this proposed legislation essentially to just apply Sammy's law area wide for our district, right? Would we be open to a second motion? In support of potential legislation to implement it citywide? Because we were talking about maximal application. To me, that's the maximal application, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So I'm happy to make both of those motions at their appropriate time or after.
Yeah.
Where do you stand, Chair?
I think that sounds great. I think, honestly, I don't have any quarrel with applicable streets or, where it applies. I think, mentioning that there are streets where an even lower speed limit applies is worth mentioning as well.
So let's put that motion slide up again, Kevin, please.
Yep.
So. Just wide slow zone, well, you call it a slow zone, meaning the maximum speed limit on roads, all applicable streets. I.e. those fewer than, not less than, it's the length of school, it's fewer than 3 travel lanes.
Yeah.
Fewer than 3 travel lanes,
But I would
and,
also like to slow down for
Yeah.
3 travel lanes.
well, yes,
You
no.
know,
we
we don't
don't
have to
have-
cross Queens Boulevard. We don't have the legality, but we're just
Right.
asking for applicable
But
streets.
this is a start, but then, while I would be supportive, I agree with Corey's analysis, if we thought that Sammy's law meant that, those lines that say default speed limit in New York City unless otherwise posted, was it, I have a test that I use in my driver evaluations, and it has a street signage and it says 30 miles an hour, but which isn't even applicable anymore. And it should be 25, but I'm hopeful, I would say it should be 20, unless otherwise posted. But that's not what they did, so therefore, I do think that if you, for instance, I can envision a newspaper story, I don't see any reporters here, but they could go on YouTube or whatever, saying that CB2 has passed this and having a lot of misunderstanding. And that's why I think it can slightly specify further what all applicable streets are.
Yeah.
Is important. We don't have to get into the weeds too much. And slower, you could even also say, and even slower in areas such as school zones or special.
Yeah, so it's 15 miles an hour for school speed limits.
Yeah.
I also think if we say, apply Sammy's law where Sammy's law applies. Not that it's likely to happen, but if Sammy's law was amended, our resolution would apply to the newly amended version of Sammy's law, which could be great. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of less verbiage if possible, but I'm also okay
And
with.
typically, when we make a resolution to send a letter, I write the resolution word for word, and then I add a little bit more of context. So I can add that context,
Great.
That'd be good. So can I so move? I mean,
Yeah.
we have a second though.
I mean, I have a second, but with some friendly amendments that'll come later. Take a second.
Well, we can let Kevin finish his presentation and Q&A.
I'm happy to answer any questions. I have to get running in about 5 minutes. We're having a fundraiser here in the neighborhood for some folks out in Minneapolis, but happy to answer questions if you've got them.
Yeah, no, I think we did it. You guys good?
I have to say, I was so impressed, especially with that, the slide with the different color coding and showing where the slow zone is. And you definitely have tailored this to our district, and current, you deserve many pats on the back for that.
I'm really grateful to the committee for considering this and taking the time, and also of course for all the work that Families for Safe Streets advocates have done. So it's the least I could do.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Can you send that presentation to the office?
I will send it along. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our presentation. Joe, we have you here. If you have a moment, if you could speak with us.
Are
Of
we
course.
not entertaining the motion?
Let's do the motion after, because I don't know if Joe is here for
Sure.
the entire time.
That's fine.
Yeah. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Hello, good to see y'all.
Yeah, you as well. I bet you guys are busy there.
Yeah, I would say ever since the new year, it's been extremely busy, especially with the change of administration, the change of commissioner, and all the new council members we've been dealing with. So it's been lots of meetings and prep work being done, but um, hope everything's been good with the board, especially with the storm last week.
Yeah, we're still trudging along. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us updates based on the agenda or anything else going on in the district that you want to speak on?
Yeah, of course. So I do have a few updates from the agenda. And then um I can speak to some of the work being done in the past week. I'll just start off with some of the items in Blissville. I know there was that request to change the traffic direction on Bradley Avenue by 37th Street. So the tentative answer I have at the moment is that our traffic planning team is not normally like their own internal policies. They normally don't study streets so soon after a traffic reversal has been done. So for the time being, we are going to be installing, or if we haven't already, installed some of those no standing zones at the corner of Star and 37th. And we're going to be monitoring to see how that helps the traffic flow there. And this is part of a lot of different changes we put along the Review Avenue project for where else, like at 35th Street was another location that we're going to be installing no standing zones for those truck turns. And also further down Review Avenue at 29th Street. So we've been monitoring the whole project and seeing how larger vehicles make these turns and making those kinds of adjustments wherever we can. Nothing set in stone with the traffic direction here. But for now, we're just going to be monitoring to see how that affects and come back with what we see fit there.
All right, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send that back to the people who came to us about it, and you're still monitoring. You haven't left the area.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely still I would definitely say we're still putting the finishing touches on the project. Or at least this portion of the project. Um so we'll definitely keep that conversation going. Nearby there, with the protect, request for protection on the Greenpoint Avenue Bridge. So that's with our bikes team. They do need to do, I think I mentioned previously, they do need to do a feasibility study, with our bridges teams to see if those barriers can be placed. So, that's something I'm gonna have to keep checking in with them about, to see how that's moving along. But that's the latest I have on that. Um, and as for the rest of the Blissville Greenway, the Borden Avenue Phase 2 part of it, so we do, now that we're, kind of in the planning phase for all our projects for this year, all our street improvement projects, we do aim to start doing outreach for that this year, especially with a lot of the businesses along Borden Avenue. And we'll definitely be keeping the board notified on the different steps of both the outreach and potential implementation of that in the future. Just doing lots of review at the moment for design. So,
All right, thank you for that.
yep. Next item was the request to remedy the pedestrian blind spot at 46th Street. So I did reach out to MTA and their contractor that's working on the elevator project at the 46th Avenue station. And I'm just waiting to hear back on if there can be any adjustments to the barriers there for that blind spot. So once I get word from that, I'll be able to update the board.
Thank you. Maury, have you noticed a difference there? I know that you have brought that one up.
Where was this one?
The construction at 46th Street on Queens Boulevard where there's a blind spot.
Oh yeah, that's still there. The other construction on Greenpoint I think is done, but yeah, it's still a pretty bad blind spot.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it. It's good to
And
know.
maybe if they just put a mirror up, like one of those driveway mirrors that people put up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did see on the other side of the intersection, the barriers are a little more tapered off. So was something that I suggested that we can look into. I it is kind of dependent on the actual construction needs of their site, but we'll see what we can do there. And I will say that they have been very good with working with us in the past, especially on when we were installing the Queens Boulevard bike lanes at the same time that construction started up. So we did a lot of collaboration with that.
Do they regularly service the pedestrian sound alerts for accessibility for crossing the street? Because I've noticed a lot of the ones in the neighborhood, you can't hear them at all.
Oh, no.
No,
Okay. I mean, if there ever is a signal problem, like that, I
just
would
put it on
definitely get that reported to 311 under accessible pedestrian signals.
it. Okay,
Because then that can be looked at a little sooner. Especially if you feel like it's not on altogether.
okay, thanks.
Of course. Yep. I believe I mentioned this in the last time I was updating the board, but at 43rd Street and was that the LIE 40 the entrance to the Kosciuszko Bridge over there, Queens Midtown Tunnel Service Road. I know there was a request for some safety improvements there. So I did get that conversation started with our traffic planning teams. And I did also mention it to our bikes team as well. That we want to study what it would take to put some additional barriers along that path there, because right now it's just a raised curb. Um, Very happy to see that the lights got turned back on under there. And we are going to see some more long-term improvements with the actual installation of LEDs later on. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit more of a long-term project, especially because we have to look at the actual traffic volumes on that entrance ramp. But that is something I'd like to see get moved forward myself, so I'm going to be on top of that myself.
Thank you for that.
Of course. I did hear some good news that a lot of the markings were returned on Woodside Ave, and I think believe the intersection was 39th.
Yeah, so
Yes.
those markings all returned like right before the storm, so.
Yeah, so thank
um,
goodness for that,
Very good.
because the roads are a mess right now, and that would not have been possible after that.
No, I know. So that was very nice, yeah.
All right. And again, and I guess one other update I have. I know that there's the ongoing concern of the Queensboro Bridge North Outer Roadway bike path. Um, Happy to see that, more recently that a lot of more clear signage was put on at the entrance to the path. And I know there were some actual markings that were put down recently. Still a little more to be done with the actual full markings on the full length of the bridge. But the latest I have on that is that once, things are warming up in the spring, we'll actually be able to, lay those down and, fully get this resolved.
Okay, yeah, thank you. It remains an issue, and obviously there's a hiatus right now on anything that might improve. But it's something that I know community members won't forget.
Yeah, of course. Um, yeah, and that's all for me. I know things are a little slow this time of year with any other updates since most of our work's on pause because of the weather, but yeah, that's all from me. I'm not sure if you had any follow-up questions about those.
Yeah, I'm sure we have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Patricia?
Joe, last month, we had the head of Sunnyside Community Services, I don't know.
Judy Sanks.
Judy Sanks, was here, and she was concerned about that whole change in the bus stop from the east side of, Queens Boulevard on 39th Street. They were going to move it down further towards the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And how that would impact the seniors. As I was driving up 39th the other day, I saw that building that used to be the car wash there on the corner is now pretty much completed, and it's a BMW building
Yeah, I was
With-
surprised to see that myself.
with a whole service place further down 39th, which means, because I know we have that problem on 43rd Street, there's gonna be a whole load of cars on 39th waiting to be serviced and lining up going into BMW and on the street, which is gonna cause more of a traffic problem and add to all the congestion and the aggravation of the seniors having to get around, going up to the corner and across to get to that bus stop. So this is another little kink in moving this bus stop. If it could be they could, I don't know how you know, deal with this and who you have to deal with. But that whole argument of keeping that bus stop where it is now, so they don't have, the seniors don't have any more danger going across there now that there's gonna be a whole lot of other cars on 39th from the BMW plant, whatever that is there, showroom, service area.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that that's likely going to be a traffic generator, and that's something I definitely, I think we should definitely keep monitoring to see how that goes as that opens up and then people start going in and out of there. For the bus stop itself, I mean, we did work closely with the MTA for that. Because I mean, and this location was chosen because at the current stop, our goal with the project team was to create bus boarding islands for for the length of Queens Boulevard where we installed the bike lane project. And the point of it was to, eliminate the conflict that happens between the bikes and the buses and pedestrians and just traffic in general. Um, at its previous location at 39th Place, it wasn't feasible to make that bus boarding island because of utility conflicts. So that's why we constructed it in the place it's in now at 39th Street. And we feel that this is the safest setup to have for the bus stop because it provides an actual level boarding versus, the bus having to barely get to the curb or, not pulling all the way up because it has to, weave in and out of a bike lane. So that's um, essentially how we came to that, settled on that location for that boarding island.
And that's on the west side of 39th.
It's on the west side of 39th Street, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really a safety issue for the seniors who have to go across 39th Street. And let's remember that the cars that are coming from south to north on 39th Street, as they go underneath the L, there's a lane shift that nobody can get used to because you have to get out of the turning lane at the last minute to get into the go straight lane down 39th Street. So you could have the possibilities of a lot of congestion and or crashes with cars there as you have seniors going across 39th Street to the other side. So there's an awful lot of negative things going on in that one place, and now you're going to add in a BMW, whatever that's there. So, why couldn't they keep it on not 39th Place, but make it onto 39th Street on the east side of the street, right in front of the dollar store thing that's on the corner there.
Yeah, so I can, speak to that because if there were, that was investigated. I mean, currently we were able to build out the corner, at least a pedestrian refuge island in concrete. I mean, the concern with putting it on the near side, on the east side of the intersection was that there would be, conflicts with people turning on 39th Street, with having the bus stop there. Because, if you have the bus stop there and then a bus stops there, it can lead to more dangerous behaviors with people making that right turn, going around the bus and then making a right turn from the middle lane. So then you would have a more dangerous condition for people crossing 39th Street, with those turning vehicles.
Yeah, I understand that. It's something not good all around here.
Yeah, I mean, this was a very tough location to deal with, and there's a lot of factors to take into account here. But overall, we feel that this is a more ideal bus loading location, especially because it's a formalized place for level boarding with the bus. And it, gets rid of a lot of the conflicts we've seen with the current bus stop design that's on Queens Boulevard. or at least the previous bus stop design without the boarding island.
All right, thank you, Patricia. I'm gonna give some other people time. Roz, I see you.
Yeah.
Is it on this subject? And can she jump ahead of me, Corey?
This is why I should never cede my time.
Okay, Roz.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the point is that we're in a situation where neither of there are problems with each option, and yet maybe there is yet a third creative solution. I'm not a traffic engineer, and I very much respect, and I think we should, the expertise of DOT. But for instance, you could have a healthy lead pedestrian interval there, which would allow what that is, Patricia, where the white light, pedestrian light comes on and no cars come for a while, and then the pedestrians can be across. So make that a healthy, longer, or maybe a little longer than usual, because we are concerned with people with mobility challenges, right? That actually could work as something that's not even hard to do. That was one thought. Another thought I had was about the BMW dealership. That whole half a block with no windows totally baffles me. And now that we see all these things on the news about ICE facilities, I have to say my suspicions get raised a bit. But I actually think what maybe they must have thought about the cars lining up in the morning to get into the service and so on. Most car dealerships, we go out on the island, have that and so on. That they must have had a fair amount of space inside the building for the cars to get in and not hang out on the sidewalk. That's point two. The third and last point is I would be concerned about people coming north on 39th Street, who then want to make a left turn and go into the dealership from there. And maybe we should have some kind of maybe Jersey barriers or something to prevent those types of turns and require those vehicles to go around the block or access the service bay. And you're sure the service entrance is that entrance on 39th Street?
Well, I was going south on 39th and I saw a sign that said service, so.
Oh, I didn't see the sign up. I saw a big entrance, so that must be, so they must have thought that one out, but who knows?
It would
Maybe you
certainly-
investigate.
It would cut down on people like that are on eastbound Queens Boulevard making a left and
Yeah.
coming, because that crossing on Queens Boulevard is where all the seniors are gonna be coming off the bus, right? So if we can move more traffic to be coming down the way you're coming from, coming south down,
Right,
there's less,
they don't get there, yeah, and the ones that are coming from other directions to, in effect, bypass that. I mean, those are just some thoughts, I don't know.
Yeah, and I will say, like I said in the beginning, we could definitely monitor this location and respond to what the conditions are, whether we need to look into that left turn concern you're talking about from 39th Street, into the actual dealership itself. I did ask about the dealership and know that they only have curb cuts on 39th Street, not on Queens Boulevard. So there's thankfully no conflicts there. Like you said, Roz, we can look into other things such as LPIs. I know that it already exists for crossing Queens Boulevard. So we can look at those too. But yeah, I think once this place is more up and running, we can definitely keep a close eye on it to see and respond as needed.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll move on. Corey?
Yeah, so the follow-up to the current conversation, and I've got another topic to bring up. But yeah, I think to Roz's point, right? What everyone's concerned about is the danger on 39th Street, right? We all know it's truck route, it's got heavy traffic, people speed on it, and you've got a community center. We're all going there once a month. It's a major pedestrian activity generator. And I think to Roz's point, this fight over should the bus stop be moved because you're making people cross a dangerous street, maybe we're ignoring the source of the problem, right? Which is that 39th Street is not safe. And so I wonder if it'd be possible for DOT to do, a safety study, looking at solutions, maybe beyond an LPI, right? for real traffic calming here to reduce the speeds and aggressive turning that could put seniors at risk there.
I don't recall there being any speed bumps on that street.
Right, so, you know, I know there's considerations with truck logistics and all that, but I think that would actually get at the heart of what everyone is concerned about, right? That if 39th Street was safe to cross, no one at the community center would have a problem with the bus stop being there. It's not the distance that people are walking, it's crossing a dangerous road. So maybe that's something that's within DOT's purview and doesn't necessarily need cooperation from MTA to address. So I was wondering if that's something.
Maybe a mid-block crossing for the seniors also would be
Yeah, it's a
a possibility.
I-
You know, they do that in some
I
places.
defer-
You don't have to turn.
Yeah, and
I defer to your
I will-
expertise,
I
but-
will just mention quick that as we constructed the actual bus boarding island, from my understanding on the other side of the intersection, when you're making that right turn from Queens Boulevard onto 39th, that paid to pedestrian area was actually built out in concrete to calm that turn.
Good.
And prevent anyone from taking that turn too tightly. So again, I hope like this was also part of the reason why we felt that, you know, this would be the more ideal location. But yeah, again, we can still continue having that conversation if we feel that more is needed.
Yeah, I mean, would a safety study would be beneficial if there was something formal from the transportation committee requesting it? You know, like for example, right, there's a right turn lane. Obviously, this is a truck route. There's a new vehicle generating use there with the BMW dealership. There's going to be trade-offs in terms of volume and throughput versus, you know, narrowing the lane to shorten the crossing, right? Obviously, I think, well, I don't want to speak for the whole board, but like, I would prefer for, you know, more favor to be towards a shortened pedestrian crossing and a safer crossing for seniors. But I think, you know, really taking a hard look at the design and seeing what additional safety improvements could happen, even at the expense of its level of service or its volume throughput, right? That could be something that maybe we'd like to have the DOT study.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if that's a formal request, we can and we feel that there's something there, we can definitely look at that.
Yeah, let's look at making.
I'll make a motion later.
Oh,
so
as I look at the map, I think one of the main problems is 39th Street heading south has a right turn lane,
yes,
which would prevent doing a much shorter crossing.
so you basically have to close that right turn.
Yeah,
You go
which
to the
if
curb
it's a truck route might be very difficult. I like the idea of a mid-block crossing, which they have in
Yeah.
Astoria a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that Sunnyside Community Services is going to continue to request that the bus stop stay where it is. Officially, you've said that because of existing utilities, it's improbable and impossible.
To build the bus boarding island there at that current location.
I think if we reach out to Sunnyside Community Services and say that we've requested, the DOT seems to be quite open to studying some other solutions that are not the obvious ones that may help, you know, I mean, that mid-block crossing.
But I also agree with Corey. I think our goal as a community should be to make every crossing as safe as possible.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to look all around to see which vehicle is going to hit us as we cross every street. That's my goal here as a father, that I don't have to watch for which vehicle is going to hit my children.
Right.
And it should be on every street. You know, we shouldn't say, well, it's a truck route, you know, you might get killed.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
so we will ask, I think, for a formal
Cool.
safety study.
So my other question, obviously we had this record snowfall and then it all froze, which kind of revealed some of the inadequacies of our snow clearance plans. Obviously that's a sanitation issue. My question to you is, you know, DOT has done an amazing job in our district putting some really robust and heavily used protected bike lanes in. Not all of them were consistently paved. And it's been frustrating because, you know, I think the day of the blizzard, you can make allowances, right?
You're talking about plowed or paved?
Plowed, sorry, not paved, plowed.
Okay. I think they're
Yeah,
okay.
they're all paved. Plowed, right? You can make allowances for the day of the blizzard, obviously, but a week later, and there's been no revisit to ensure that all of the protected bike lanes have been plowed. You know, it's very disappointing, right? And again, that's a criticism of sanitation, not DOT. But I think it's extremely relevant to DOT since you guys are doing a lot of work to make sure that we have this safety infrastructure, and allowing the snow to remain there is essentially, you know, removing that safety infrastructure that you guys put all the work into building. And so I'm curious if there's a potential to do, additional outreach to sanitation and express to them, hey, this is really eroding the safety gains that we've put a lot of work and funding into. And we need it to be prioritized. The other question is, a lot of these protected bike lanes are parking protected bike lanes, right? I was on Skillman last 2 nights ago, and there were cars that were angle parked, partially obstructing the parking protected bike lane with snow drifts all around them. And I actually didn't know like which department to 311 this for, because if I send it to NYPD, they're going to be like, well, there's snow. What do you want? And then if I send it to sanitation, they might say like, we can't get our snowplow in here. So I was curious if you had an idea about the best way to handle that, where it sort of needs to be like a joint thing, like NYPD needs to pull them so that sanitation can plow it. And it's on DOT infrastructure, right? So you guys are the ones that the mission is to get it clear. So I was curious, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that kind of specific issue where there's like a confluence of.
Yeah, yeah, I will say that ever since even before the blizzard, we've been like even my office, we've had very close communication with sanitation about this, and I will give them a lot of props for all the work they've done. They've been, really, responsive to a lot of the concerns we've had as an agency, and figuring out who and where should be clearing snow. Um, the sanitation does have those smaller plows for the protected bike lanes. And if there is a concern with, some time after blizzard that, snow's piling up again in these lanes, I mean, we can have that conversation with them. We can let them know that, these are areas that might need to be revisited. As so we can prevent that kind of condition you were talking about on Skillman Avenue. So I think if things need another pass through, we can definitely have that conversation with them.
I mean, I know we
Um,
have potential for more snowfall coming. It's just the thing is, I 311'd a couple of them and they came out and plowed them, which is great. But it
okay.
also made it like, at least when I think like, are they just waiting for citizens to 311 every protected bike lane? Like, there's not that many. Shouldn't they have a plan to confirm that they've plowed all the protected bike lanes? Like they have a map.
311, a segment of the Broadway protected bike lane.
Yeah,
And they plowed it, but all the rest of the Broadway protected bike
Right.
lane is unplowed.
like
They just got that one block that I-311.
there's an amazing live map that shows every single street in New York City when it was last plowed, so that they're ensuring that they're hitting all these, they're not neglecting any. I haven't seen any such infrastructure for crosswalks or protected bike lanes, right?
Mm.
Is that sanitation's responsibility to maintain that?
That's my assumption, yeah.
Yeah, so that has been,
Yeah, snow clearance and sanitation.
Where
No,
does the
so we
snow
could
go
ask
that they
the
take
same
out of
thing
the
for
bike
like-
lanes? Where do they put the snow? Is it on the sidewalk? Is it in the parking lane? Is it on the corners?
I
Where does
think-
it go?
put it on your car.
I
I
think
have
it,
there already.
I think it ideally where there's room goes into the median between the sidewalk and the protected bike lane, or the parking zone. But currently, the snow all gets plowed out of the street and into everyone else's infrastructure, the parking, the bike lanes, and the sidewalks, right? So it becomes a real accessibility issue. There's melters they have in Manhattan that they've been using to dispose of snow. We haven't seen such treatment here. This
I
isn't,
thought maybe as it went down the bike lane, it would go into the sewer or something. I don't
No,
know.
it's not.
So we heard from a board member who said that on Queens Boulevard, the bike lane plow pushed all of the snow into the curb cut for the crosswalk.
Yeah.
So the curb cut was clear and then the bike, so I think there needs to, obviously, we all live in New York. This is an unprecedented snowfall followed by a freeze. So now we've got snow everywhere. And to Patricia's question, where does it go?
yeah.
You
it's a
know,
good
and
question.
we accept, but I think wholly, we're all pedestrians and we've all seen that the pedestrian has lost this
Yeah.
battle. There's not a single crosswalk that has been cleared. Like maybe some major avenues, but I just cleared some crosswalks near my kid's school because, if the homeowner had done it, the street plows had pushed the snow
Right,
back in.
okay.
And
So-
then it froze and then they're like, well, I'm not doing it again.
So I think it's an opportunity for lessons learned, right? Like for example, there was an opportunity when we had this short kind of thaw where the 2 days of 32 degrees, the snow starts to slush up again, and you're not picking at it with a pickaxe, right? So having the infrastructure there that we know if there's a heavy snowfall, we wait for a thaw or whatever, I don't know. The reason I'm addressing this to DOT is, I feel like you're an ally of ours in this space, like you have just the same interest we do in getting this accessibility and safety infrastructure cleared. So it'd be just great to have like an inside push and an outside push to sanitation and be like, this really matters. It's not a nice to have. So like, please figure out like how to keep this crosswalks clear, how to keep the protected bike lanes clear.
Yeah, of course. And if there are those concerns with getting certain locations clear, we can reach out ourselves to if there are certain locations that need it. I mean, like Riley said, this is definitely an unprecedented event, and this is a real test to see how we responded to it. I would say, as for people clearing their own properties, I will say New York's a little out of practice since we've had so little snow the past 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
But
and I also
that's
wanna
just my own internal joke, but
I want to praise the city agencies for clearing the roads so well and getting to everything, and like the city is moving and we're having a hard time. I will say again, pedestrians have gotten the short straw here.
I hear you,
There's not
yeah.
a single 4-foot clearance on any crosswalk that I've come across.
And the thing is, so where I live on 44th Street and 48th Avenue in South Sunnyside, there is a laundromat on that southeast corner of the block, right? They shoveled like a 1-foot walkway all around their property, right? Which is fine for me, but that's not ADA accessible, right?
Yeah.
And I 311'd it, and sanitation closed it, saying there was no violation.
Right.
So something is not working here, right? Like my heart really goes out to like wheelchair bound folks in our district who like are probably Uber Eatsing every meal. Like what are they supposed to do? You can't even walk 1 block now. Well, I say walk, but you know what I mean.
And people with strollers even.
Yeah, strollers, but also like regular,
Common.
at rush hour when all the kids are going to the elementary school, everybody has to wait as the single file line goes and then the next single
Yeah.
file line goes, and like it should have been the homeowner who, maybe a homeowner shouldn't have to clear it, maybe the city should, but that's not the law. It's unprecedented.
Well, at the intersections, it is the city, yeah. Although I personally, as a homeowner, I mean, I have many times gone out and shoveled in these other common spaces just because.
I think I've heard that the homeowners on the corner have to clear the curb cuts, the crosswalks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, look, we say this is unprecedented, but so what was the plan before? Just don't plow it and wait for it to melt? Like, that's not a plan, right? There's gonna be snow in the future. There needs to be a plan to address the crosswalks.
It's also precedented in the fact that there are cities in Canada that get snowed on. There are cities in Norway that get snowed on. Like, what do these cities do?
Yeah.
I will also ask Joe, for sidewalks underneath MTA property, train trestles, these have not been cleared at all. Is there an agency that is supposed to be doing this? It's DOT property, sanitation clears things, there's not a homeowner. MTA doesn't seem to be doing it. So now, next to the new high school on Northern Boulevard, there's a whole stretch of sidewalk that hasn't been cleared for 2 weeks, for a week and a half.
so so you're talking about underneath like train trestles?
Yeah, underneath the Long Island Railroad.
Okay. Was there a specific location or?
Sure, 54th Street. Between Broadway and 37th Avenue.
Okay. Broadway 37.
But it's also the same everywhere I see it. That whole Long Island Railroad, we have a lot of trains up in our district.
Yeah, because I know that area is a little complicated because the train tracks could be either Amtrak or Long Island Road there, depending on which one you're
The
talking
one I'm
about.
thinking about is I believe Amtrak.
That would be.
The Long Island Railroad one didn't get as much snow underneath, but
Yeah, but
around
yeah.
it that is covered in snow is still covered in snow. And then
Yeah.
these same properties that don't get cleared of pigeon excrement in the summertime, nobody takes responsibility for this.
Yeah, and short answer is that sidewalks should be cleared by the adjacent property owner. So if that's MTA property, then that would be Long Island Railroad to do.
Yeah.
I think it's particularly concerning the areas that you're talking about because of the new high school and the schools on our side. I mean, there's a lot more traffic pedestrian.
It's also the main route to the trains, the R
Yeah,
train,
yeah.
buses on Northern Boulevard, Commerce, yeah. Sometimes it feels like neighborhoods are separated from each other by the infrastructure that was built a long time ago and not maintained.
I feel like that's what defines Queens, unfortunately.
Yeah,
We have a lot of natural barriers like railroads and highways and cemeteries and parks
and industrial zones
and
and,
industrial zones.
all right, well, thanks for hearing us out. I guess we'll have to talk to MTA to get some people out to clear that sidewalk. Does anybody have any more questions for Joe at DOT?
How do you do it, Joe?
That's a great question. Love for the game, I would say.
Yeah. Congratulations on a new commissioner, new administration, new mayor.
Thank you.
I hope that you guys are working on a lot of great projects. You've heard from
Yep.
our committee and our board that we want safer streets and more protected bike lanes. We
course.
sent out letters about Greenpoint Avenue, Roosevelt Avenue, and lots of other avenues within the district that could use safety improvements, protected bike lanes. So please.
Yeah. Yeah, this we definitely hit the ground running this year, I would say. So looking
Yeah.
forward to see what the rest of the year holds.
All right. Yeah, and also just to speak to Mayor Mamdani, he has said a lot of things to the same effect that he wants the city to be a global city that the entire world looks towards. So let's see it.
Until
so.
like we'd love to have him visit us at CB2.
Yes, exactly. I know. Maybe once he gets all his initial meetings out of the way. I mean, he is from Queens, so
So he knows.
not his district wasn't very far from CB2, so
Nice.
What neighborhood was he from?
Astoria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his district was most like a lot of like Astoria, basically from just north of Queens Plaza up to like I forget which street, but that was most of his assembly district.
Nice. We're only separated from Astoria by the lack of bus service
That was
and bike lanes. It feels like it's hard to get there.
We're talking about the mayor's district for you. We're talking
There's
about-
one bus.
Talking about Mike was from Astoria?
What?
Mike Flynn was from Astoria. Joe, Mike Flynn was from Astoria? Or-
no the mayor.
Oh,
Oh, was I not clear about that? My bad.
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. I was like, I didn't know language.
Yeah.
I actually don't know where he is from, but I know he's at least from the agency in the past. So
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe. Thanks for
All
joining us.
and thank you everyone.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, great. Old business hasn't really changed. I don't know if we have anything to say on that, but if we have new business, like these resolutions we're
Yeah,
thinking about.
I can do the Sammy's Law resolutions. Do we need to make a motion for the requests? About 39th Street or can you?
No, let's make a motion on that.
Okay. So I mean, should I just do all three?
Well, do Sammy's law.
Yeah, Sammy's law.
Corey was drafting something, and I would rather,
Yeah.
so I'll second what he says.
I'll read it and then I'll send it in to the email. Okay, so motion to send a letter regarding Sammy's Law. Whereas there's been a traffic death and over 1,000 injury crashes in our district in 2025. Whereas we know reducing speeds lowers the risk of serious injury crashes, and whereas we've already have successful slow zones for Sunnyside, and whereas Sammy's Law allows for implementation of district-wide slow zones by NYC DOT, we request the city implement a slow zone of 20 miles an hour, including 50 mile an hour in school zones on all streets with fewer than 3 lanes, as applicable under Sammy's Law in Queens CB2.
Seconded.
Seconded.
All right, discussion? I think that sounds good. I think that's,
Sounds good.
yeah, the spirit of it and, huh?
You might not have much homework.
Yeah, I like it. But I do always have to go back to the video to see exactly what you say. All right, if anybody's not feeling it, any discussion? We spoke about it a lot during the presentation. Any street within the district that this would apply to is very similar to Sunnyside Gardens streets. 20 miles per hour does not really change the the time of somebody's trip on these residential streets, and it won't affect the super fast expressways that go through our district. But it will make a difference for people on the street if they get hit by a vehicle.
And I think it's a way to, the slow zones in Sunnyside are proven. Let's bring them to Woodside and Blissville and Long Island City's residential streets, right?
Okay,
Call the question?
all right. All in favor? Okay,
Unanimous.
that's everyone unanimous. Great,
Right.
thanks so much.
Okay, next up,
I wanted to say, I was communicating with Sammy's mom, who's Amy Cohen. And he was co-founder today, because for other reasons, but I told her we were gonna review this. And she is so thrilled and grateful, and I will send her another email.
Great.
Tell her. These are real people.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, yeah.
well, you can also tell her about the second mushroom list.
Well, all right.
No, we love it.
Yeah.
All right, so, a motion to send a letter, saying, whereas the intent of advocates, including Families for Safe Streets seeking to pass Sammy's Law, was to ultimately lower the citywide area speed limit to 20 miles an hour. We support changing the citywide area speed limit to 20 miles an hour on all applicable streets citywide and 15 mile an hour in school zones on all streets with fewer than 3 lanes as applicable under Sammy's Law, including through city council legislation if necessary.
Seconded?
Second, I mean, to me, it's like basically saying that should be the default speed limit unless unless otherwise posted.
Right. Yeah, so discussion,
My only concern, I don't want to dilute the fact that we did this specific letter of support. And this is a longer term, larger, it's definitely throwing the ball into.
Well, the second letter is citywide, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Basically saying that if it's necessary to do it legislatively, we would support a citywide, a city council bill to do so. But in general, what we'd like to see is this applied citywide.
sure. All right,
Call the question?
all in favor?
Lori? Unanimous.
All right, unanimous, thank
There
you.
Don't have any more?
Well, I can do the 39th Street one. I didn't pre-write it though.
All right,
Well,
Shall I do the 39th Street one?
you're a little slow, Corey.
yeah.
All right. So.
So, it was mentioned LPI, mid-block crossing, shorter crossings.
Yeah, so.
Aren't you
what-
going to make
what-
39th Street safe?
Yeah, what I'll say is, whereas, so motion to send a letter to New York City DOT requesting, whereas there are significant concerns, particularly from older adults in our district, regarding the location of a bus stop that requires them to cross 39th Street. And whereas 39th Street is known for being a dangerous street with a high risk of serious injury crashes, and whereas it may be difficult to relocate this bus stop, we asked the DOT to study potential safety improvements for crossing 39th Street, including but not limited to an extended leading pedestrian interval, curb extensions, a pedestrian refuge island, or a road diet.
I think you should mention Sunnyside Community Services, because it is established, placed there, and these services see.
Yeah, friendly amendment accepted, so we can include that in the whereas about this concerns, so the concerns from Sunnyside Community Services, particularly regarding older adults access to, I think that's a great suggestion.
So was that seconded and then friendly?
Would you like to second it?
Seconded, yeah,
Would you like to second it?
I'll second it, and then friendly amendment and discussion added,
Oh, okay, thank you.
Robert's rules, I guess.
Yeah.
So
we love Robbie, we love this.
Any more discussion on that? It's good, and I know in the past we've said, let's not ask for studies, let's ask for action, let's ask for safety improvements.
Yeah, I'm
here.
fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, the ones you specified should be sort of, for example, that doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not exclusively, I mean, they could come up with something yet better.
Mention the bumps in the road,
I did not mention speed humps, but I'm happy to include those.
another friendly amendment.
Yeah, so I'll accept both of these. So
Humps.
we can say something like, you know, we request this, NYCD to implement safety, traffic calming, safety improvements, such as,
Mhm.
and then in that list, we can include, speed humps.
We don't think a raised crosswalk would work as a truck route, or that's not a.
I'd love a raised crosswalk, don't get me wrong. I find it unlikely to happen on the truck route, but I'd love to request it formally, and have them tell us no.
Yeah.
Sure, the BMW dealership would love that.
Truck drivers would hate.
I know. But speed cushions, maybe, I don't know.
Both the Logan started them with the.
I mean, there is an option for speed cushions, which are their speed hump with like cutouts for wider axles. So basically the idea is a normal car, you can't straddle it, so one wheel has to be up on the bump. But for emergency vehicles or trucks, you know, like they have a wider axle, so that could be a way to do it and get, you know, something without it impacting emergency services. So I don't know. We can say speed cushions, we can add that to the list of suggestions.
Oh, that's done.
Yeah. So moved.
Okay, yeah, great, call the question, all in favor? All right, unanimous, thank you so much.
Can I ask that if it's possible, especially the first motion, to formulate the communication and print it out and make it available at the full board meeting so that when you give your report, if you wanted to put a motion to have the full board endorse it, not just the committee, that could happen,
Sure, yeah,
facilitate that.
okay, provided.
I mean, the second and third motions also, third perhaps, it's too much in the weeds, but.
Yeah, and I'll run that by, the chair, because I know.
Yeah.
It's discouraged to have motions
The
from the
report,
board.
opportunity to make
Yeah.
the committee report. No, but I think having it printed out is.
It is, I acknowledge it's a tight turnover between our meeting and the full board meeting.
Thank you very much. It's, yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Great, and I think we should address something about the snow removal. I might make a motion.
We can request sanitation, right? Like they weren't here. They didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
Still do request.
So I move that we send a letter to sanitation and city agencies to create an action plan for increased snowfall that would clear roadways, bike lanes, crosswalks, and curb cuts at crosswalks quickly and thoroughly. So all lanes of travel will be clear as soon as possible. That's it.
Seconded and I
Thank
have
you.
a friendly minutes.
Sorry, yes, I improvised there.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it should be about having a plan to ensure that after a snowfall,
Right.
accessibility and safety infrastructure remains cleared, right? Like, 'cause that's the issue. We know that in a freak blizzard, they're gonna be at full capacity, but we want them to continue to revisit and now that the snow is, it's not snowing anymore, should have more capacity to come back and do the finishing touches, right?
Yeah, and also I want the point to be that it's not just about clearing the roadways for vehicles or whatever, but also for the sidewalks to be cleared.
Yeah.
Crosswalks to be cleared, well, not sidewalk, but crosswalks and curb cuts and bike lanes, bike lanes.
Protected bike lanes.
Protected bike lanes, yeah.
I do think also it's worth mentioning, not just for wheelchairs, Because the numbers of people using wheelchairs are as large, but there are numbers of people using strollers are very large as well, and they also are just prevented from.
Because of icy conditions, you don't wanna walk around with an infant. Baby still has to go outside.
Yeah.
Stroller, you know,
Yeah.
from experience, the stroller is
If you're-
necessary.
If you're bringing another child to school, and school, there was only one day off.
Yeah, curb cuts are like one of the most wonderful examples of universal design. You know, they were built.
You speak a little louder, more, I'm sorry.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'll speak into here. Is that better? Yeah, curb cuts are like just an amazing example of great universal design where they're
Yeah.
they enable access for folks that normally don't have access, but they don't impede access for anyone that doesn't need them. But then we all need it at some time, whether we have a bum leg today, or you know, our knee hurts, or we have a stroller, or a cart to push, or there's just so many different times and contexts we'll use them. So I think the point that it's not just the strollers is a really good point, that so many people depend on those curb cuts to get across, to move around the city.
And they're becoming a standard design, so they can have a standard snow blower that hits every curb cut at every corner. You know, you wouldn't run a plow over it, but you'd hit it with a machine that would clear it out.
You have a crew of guys running after the plows, just shoveling everything out, you know?
Please, yeah.
Or not guys.
Guys in the crew of like, hey guys,
Yeah, guys gender neutral.
fellows.
Folks.
Used to hire people.
I think they still do.
They do, yeah.
Oh, okay, so
I haven't
they should
seen
be
them.
hired to do the corners.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
And you
No,
know, the mayor knows the word snack down now. That's where the snow goes, to answer that question. It
Yeah.
goes in the corner of the street where vehicles don't go. You know,
Like the bulb outs that we want.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good answer.
That's, I kept wanting to tell the neighbor at Woodside Ave and 39th Ave to not to pile their snow up next to the tree, but put it out there so as to.
I think it's illegal to put it in the street.
it is, yeah,
It-
but not
it
for
might
the Department of
be, yes,
Sanitation.
But this, that's a battle out fight.
Well, I got a great photo of a snack down in my neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you can see there's all these like chunks where cars don't actually drive on the on the asphalt. And a bunch of advocates, like, they love to take photos after a snowfall because it kind of shows you like, oh, you could actually put sidewalk in all these spaces and it wouldn't impact traffic, but it would, you know, you'd get more space for the pedestrian.
Okay.
That's what he's talking about.
So call the question, restate the motion, a letter to Department of Sanitation and pertinent city agencies to
I think they should make a sequential plan.
Yes.
That
to
first comes
create
the
a
roadway,
plan.
then comes, you know,
Priorities.
whoever
You know,
is
first
the.
comes the sidewalks. That's the problem.
Well,
Well, I think
the
the city
issue
will
is-
prioritize roadways for emergency vehicles.
Also, the issue is when you plow the street, it pushes snow into the sidewalk. So you don't want to plow the sidewalk and then plow the street.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna have to plow the sidewalk again.
Yeah, no, I didn't need it.
But like, it's a good point, sequential. Yeah, yeah, but like an action plan for snowfall that ensures that accessibility and safety infrastructure such as like the bike lanes, sidewalks, crosswalks and curb cuts are
Are
cleared of snow
thoroughly cleared
and
as
remain so.
quickly as possible and remain so for as long as snow exists on the street.
I don't know how many people were here during Mayor Lou's meeting.
We bought our house in 68 and the storm was the next, I mean, we weren't plowed for a week.
Yeah,
So, should we call the question?
okay, call the question, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous, Marianne. Okay, thank you. Great, we are past 8 o'clock, so we'll finish up as expeditiously as we can. Does anybody else have any other new business? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
Seconded.
Hastings. Seconded, all in favor?
Alright.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I just wanted to apologize to all of you. by saying that I'm so pleased as a local